Hello, my name is Tony. At the dawn of the 70s, Hollywood Studios' 20th Century Fox was down on its luck. Perhaps luck is the wrong word. It wasn't luck that burned them as such, more a lack of corporate and creative acumen leading to the making of some very bad project choices. They had a run of producing some ludicrously expensive and shit-awful movies that tanked horribly at the box office. Star with Julie Andrews. Hello, Dolly with Barbara Streisand. And Tora, all bombed more spectacularly than a fully loaded Nakajima G10 over Pearl Harbor in 41. First lesson, film titles with exclamation marks in them will nearly always fail. Audiences think you're shouting at them. They don't like it. Second lesson, Julie Andrews and Barbara Streisand alienate at least 50% of any potential film-going audience, the males usually, and that's risky business. And incredibly tedious war films without any relatable leading characters to identify with are a surefire hide into disaster. To reverse this self-engineered decline in fortune, they needed a financial hit. How to get one though? Well, some bright spark looked over their shoulder back to 1968 to one of Fox's success stories, something that had worked, a very popular science fiction movie, Planet of the Apes. Hey, why not cash in on that success? Make a sequel on the cheap. $2.5 million budget ought to do it, and keep the old fingers crossed. And that's what they did. Fox estimated that Beneath the Planet of the Apes needed to take about $8 million to break even. It took an estimated $19 million worldwide, so made a healthy profit. No exclamation mark in the title, see? No shouting in the punters' faces. Always helps. The original Planet of the Apes was one of the definitive sci-fi movies of the 60s. The groundbreaking makeup by John Chambers contributed by rendering the ape characters thoroughly believable. It had a literate and smartly subversive script peppered with quotable lines, initially penned by Rod Serling, but rewritten by Michael Wilson, who had worked on Bridge on the River Kwai and Lawrence of Arabia. Franklin J. Schaffner provided stylish, thoughtful, pacey direction. Cinematography by Leon Shamroy was both strikingly artistic and cleverly imaginative. Jerry Goldsmith's score was highly distinctive, and Chuck Heston was an ideal choice as the alpha male lead actor. And it had that killer ending, one of the very best ever. Audiences and critics liked it a lot. Big hit. I saw Beneath the Planet of the Apes first. For some reason, the original movie never crossed my radar, or failed to make it to the Market Hall Cinema after the time I started to frequent the place. I have never seen Planet of the Apes on the big screen, catching up with it first when it was broadcast on TV, which was well into the 1970s. Sadly, by then, I knew the ending. Still packed a fair old punch though, always sends a tingle down my spine even though I know what's coming. Anyway, both the first two movies made serious moolah, which encouraged 20th Century Fox to make a further 3 films in the initial franchise, each of which was a quantum dropping overall quality from the last, until after a short-lived TV series and an animated TV show, they'd run the concept plumb into the ground, through the Earth's crust and into the core. It would be resurrected later, first by Tim Burton, who remade the original movie as a complete feather-plucking mega turkey in 2001, then a smart franchise reboot in 2011, which spawned a further 2 films to date. Disney bought out Fox in 2019 and apparently have plans to make more Planet of the Apes films. Considering the creative ruination they have visited on every other franchise they've gotten their greedy Mickey Mouse mittens on, I would suggest this does not bode well future-wise. Back to Beneath the Planet of the Apes. I can say now with the benefit of hindsight and experience it is nowhere near as good as the original, but it is the second best movie in the original franchise run of 5. My childhood self thought it was great, knockout stuff. Now, despite retaining some affection for it and knowing that there's certainly reasons to recommend it, I'm more aware that it looks and feels like what it was, a means to generate some income for the studio by piggybacking on the creative and commercial success of a far superior picture. But then, isn't that true of all sequels to a greater or lesser degree? Beneath picks up where the first film left off. Astronaut Taylor, Charlton Heston, is permanently trapped in Earth's future. In the original, he led a space mission to locate a habitable planet like Earth. His ship passed through a wormhole and he and his surviving crew found themselves crash landing on a world where humans had devolved to a primitive state and primates had evolved to a semi-feudal level and ran the show. The upshot is he's gone forward in time and is back on Earth post-nuclear war. Taylor and his mute companion and fuck buddy Nova, the stunning Linda Harrison, are travelling into a desert area known as the Forbidden Zone. They're trying to start a new life away from the ape civilization. They encounter walls of fire bursting from the ground and chasms splitting open around them. These are illusions. When Taylor approaches a cliff wall to investigate, he passes through it, leaving Nova alone. Meanwhile, another spaceship crash lands on the planet. This one has been sent to discover the fate of Taylor and his crew. The lone survivor, Brent, Brent, James Franciscus, runs into Nova, yep, purely by chance, and notices she is wearing Taylor's dog tags. Thinking that Taylor may be alive, he's guided to Ape Central by Nova and is naturally shocked to find monkeys riding around on horses and toting guns. Militaristic gorilla General Ursus, played by James Gregory, is observed addressing a rally for the invasion of the Forbidden Zone, as he feels it may be a source of food and supplies. Not sure why, as to most eyes it seems to be a burned out arid wasteland shithole kind of place. But anyway, political leader Dr. Zaius, again played by Maurice Evans, isn't convinced, believing, not unreasonably, this is a crap plan. Brent gets wounded and Nova takes him to the home of friendly chimp scientists Zira and Cornelius. Kim Hunter reprises her role as Zira from the first film, but Roddy McDowall was unavailable this time round, so Cornelius is played by David Watson. Brent learns about Taylor's plight. Zaius pays a visit and announces he will be accompanying Ursus on his military incursion into the Forbidden Zone. See, me, I would imagine the clue is in the title here. There's a reason it's called the Forbidden Zone and not the Hey Come Visit Us Zone. Cutting a long story short, Brent and Nova are captured by Ursus, marked for target practice, then escape in the direction of the Forbidden Zone. They seek refuge in a cave, leading to some of the remnants of New York City, which are buried underground. Brent realizes he has travelled back to Earth in a post-apocalyptic future. Living underground is a colony of mutants, the descendants of modern humanity, subjected to centuries of radiation exposure, which has resulted in the endowment of creepy telepathic powers. They can conjure illusions and exert mind control. But this ain't the cherry on the cake. Oh no. They're a very religious bunch, this lot, and they worship of all things a gigantic nuclear bomb. Superficially, the mutants don't look too bad, but they are in fact wearing masks, beneath which they are seriously disfigured and ravaged by radioactivity and makeup artists. Ugly fuckers. They've got Taylor locked up and chucked Brent in a cell with him. Under mind control, they are compelled to fight each other to the death, but intervention in the form of Nova and a full military assault from the apes sees them set free. Much shooting, killing and dying ensues. Brent and Nova get off in the confrontation, and a mortally wounded Taylor has enough time to curse Dr. Zaius before slapping his hand down on the big red nuke button like Donald Trump with cerebral palsy and detonating the bomb, thus destroying the entire planet. So, no one wins anything apart from a nuclear-powered ticket to oblivion. And there it ends, until Escape from the Planet of the Apes, the next entry in what was a rapidly deteriorating series. As an impressionable kid, I loved this film. It really fired my imagination, and I thought it was great. Nowadays, my feelings are a bit more measured. There are still elements I enjoy, but others that mark it down for what it is, an opportunistic B-movie with a bit of a budget, built on the foundation of a much better original film. Chuck Heston wasn't particularly interested in reprising the role of Taylor, but eventually agreed to appear in a supporting capacity on the provision his character would be killed, thus ensuring he wouldn't be asked to play him ever again. He shot his scenes over 8 days, appearing at the beginning and the end, and reportedly donated his fee to charity. A new protagonist, Brent, played by TV actor James Franciscus, was developed to carry the film. I imagine having Franciscus came with the bonus of keeping costs down some more, but he acquits himself well enough. TV director Ted Post was brought in to replace Schaffner at the helm. Post was a buddy of Clint Eastwood since his Rawhide days, and had directed him in his first Hollywood Western flick Hang 'em High in 1968. He would later helm the first Dirty Harry sequel Magnum Force. Beneath rattles along quite nicely, the ape makeup remaining a source of continuing visual appeal, and the cinematography by Milton Krasner is suitably effective, especially when it comes to capturing landscapes. Unsurprising perhaps, considering he was the director of photography on the sweep-in How the West Was Won. Score by Leonard Rosenman utilises cues from Jerry Goldsmith's atmospheric stylings from the first film in a mostly utilitarian way. Script by Paul Den, who boasted screenwriting duties for Goldfinger and The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, doesn't exactly dazzle with innovation, and falls back on the standard sci-fi tropes of the 50s and early 60s. The nuclear bomb scenario and radiation breeding monsters hook. In the scheme of things, it's a bit hokey and uninspired, but results in an acceptable narrative framework and effective transport for the competently staged action scenes. The grander visual effects are okay for the time, and some of the underground sets were plundered from Hello, Dolly! So that film had some practical use after all. The subterranean world, featuring ruined interpretations of Queensborough Plaza Station and St. Patrick's Cathedral, are quite convincingly rendered, and the overall atmosphere below ground is one of doom-laden eeriness. There are some janky and jarring moments along the way. The telepathic mutants communicate with each other without speaking. Superior mental capabilities and intelligence, they explain. Few scenes along and they're seen in conference using normal audible speech. Why? Their hymn to the bomb and adaptation of All Things Bright and Beautiful replaced the word God with bomb. For example, the Lord Bomb made them all. It's a bit infantile and dumb. What exactly Taylor and Brent are attempting to achieve in the end, detonate the bomb or prevent it being detonated, is a complete fucking mystery to me. After all these years, I'm still none the wiser. The first two films were as good as the franchise ever got. The former an undisputed classic, the latter an almost respectable extension of the initial storyline. The following installments, Escape from, Conquest of, Battle for, spun the line on how the apes came to take control of the planet. They represented an episodic, step-like decline tied to the law of ever-decreasing returns. Watch the first two because they rub along together well enough, and if no more had ever been made, would have constituted a great beginning and so-so conclusion to things. You could easily leave it there. Escape depends on the novelty value of Cornelius Zira and some other monkey, played by Sal Mineo, travelling back in time to the early 70s, and is a misfiring affair. It looks and feels horribly dated now, but does have a bit of nostalgic value. The plot only works though if you don't question how the chimps managed to fix, launch, and pilot one of the wrecked spaceships before Taylor blew the Earth to atoms. Escape expects you not to, but I'm afraid I just had to. I mean, Taylor's craft sank to the bottom of a very deep lake, and Brent's was in mangled bits of charred and twisted metal. The apes had no motorized vehicles and certainly hadn't mastered flight. They got around on horseback and horse-drawn carts. They didn't have electricity. How the hell they navigated and understood the technology of spaceflight is a bit of a mind scrambler. Well, no, not really. They couldn't have, wouldn't have, therefore didn't. So even as a kid, I started out not buying Escape very much from the outset. Yeah, because of this preposterous conceit. Films that insult the intelligence of the audience right off with the very basis of the narrative irritate me no end, although a lot of people seem to accept it with no problems, which evidence to some extent the producer's assumptions that a lot of people are fucking idiots, which irritates me even more. Drives me bananas, you could say. Nuts even. Beneath the Planet of the Apes is an upmarket sci-fi B-movie, and it's an okay watch, a serviceable sequel to a top-flight first movie. It wasn't designed to ape the quality and reputation of its predecessor, and fair play, it succeeds in not doing so. However, watching the two back-to-back can be a decent evening's entertainment and well worth a punt for most sci-fi fans. Once again, grateful thanks for your time and attention. If you want to, hit like, don't like, subscribe, and or leave a comment. That's enough monkey business for the moment, so meanwhile, here's a song called Nuke the Moon.
Been sent on business by the bully boys, playing around with my nuclear toys. This little blob was not exorbitant, hails from a decommissioned power plant. Before we blow up the world, need to test strike about. Train my eyes on a target pretty soon. We're gonna try it out. We're gonna nuke the moon. No way of knowing what the future yields, so get behind your radiation shield. We didn't pay a real tidy sum for missile caps and this plutonium. Before we blow up the world, need to test right about. Train my eyes on the target pretty soon. We're gonna try it out. We're gonna nuke the moon. Don't tell me nuclear fission's on. Go and suck on sour grapes. You'll be living with the mushroom clouds in your backyard, beneath the planet of the apes. quaking in your boots and shivering. I'm playing war games with uranium. All you can do is wait for kingdom come. Before we blow up the world, need to test strike about. Train my eyes on a target.